So today we are going to be looking at adding decimals, and we're going to be modeling this using base 10 blocks. Now, you are familiar with using base 10 blocks as a way to represent hundreds, tens, and ones. But what we are going to do is we're going to use these to represent decimals as well. So we are going to use a flat to represent a 1, right? We're going to use a long to represent 1/10, and then we're going to use a individual unit to represent 1/100th. And hopefully what you're recognizing here is that it takes 10 of these to equal one of these, right? So a long times 10 equals a flat, and that it takes 100 individual units to represent a flat, which is why we're referring to them as 1/10 and 1/100th. So we're going to use our base 10 blocks to model the sum of 34 hundredths plus 27 hundredths. So when we do this, we're going to use three longs, right? Because our first number is 34 hundredths. And then we're also going to use 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, is it? Number 3 and number 4, right? So we're using 4 individual units to equal our hundredths. So we have 0 and 30, 34 hundredths, 3/10 and 4 hundredths. Now for our next number, we need to put out here, we have 0 ones, right? But we have 2/10 because we have a 2 in the tenths place. And then we need a lot of these. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7/10ths, right? And this number down here that's represented is 0 and 27 hundredths. Now, when we add decimals, just like when we add whole numbers, we're going to start in our smallest place that we have available. So we're going to start over here in the hundredths place. Well, down here in 27 hundredths, I have 7 hundredths, and up here in 34 hundredths, I have 4 hundredths. And hopefully we remember from the other day that if we have 10 hundredths, right, so if we were to kind of pull these 3 down here, right, we would end up with 10 hundredths right here, and we would regroup these 10 hundredths together to equal 1/10, right? So we're going to grab a new tenths, and we're going to bring it out here, and we're going to draw a line that shows that we've regrouped this to equal 1/10, and then we can also, of course, cross it out. Now, we still have 1/100th up here, right? So we need to put a 1 in the hundredths place. And now we're going to move on, and we're going to count up how many tenths we have. Well, we have 3/10, and 2 more tenths is 5/10, plus the one that we regrouped over here. So 3, 4, 5, and number 6. So we have 6/10. Then the last thing we need to do is we need to put in our decimal so that we know that that 6 is in the tenths place and the 1 is in the hundredths place. And so the sum of 34 hundredths plus 27 hundredths is, in fact, 61 hundredths. So let's take a look at another one. Now here, right, you'll notice that we are going to draw a picture, right? We don't always need to use like base 10 blocks. So we're going to draw our quick pictures. And so with our quick picture, what we're going to have, and we're going to kind of ignore that, right? We're going to look at this, and this is going to equal a flat or a 1. This is going to be a long or 1/10. And then we're just going to put a dot, and that is going to be 1/100th. So hopefully we can kind of see that. So let's take a look at what is the problem that we want to do. So here we're going to find the answer to 2 and 5/10 plus 2 and 8/10. Well, I'm going to start off by drawing my model of 2 and 5/10. So I need 2 ones, and then I need 5/10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I need to model 2 and 8 tenths. So I put in 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tenths. I like to always make sure that I group things together in fives if I can. It's just easier to see them. It's also kind of easier to organize them. Well, here we are. We're going to start by adding our tenths, right? Because that is the smallest place that we have here in these two numbers, right? So we're going to start by adding together our tenths. Well, I know that 5 tenths and 5 tenths equals 10 tenths, and I know that 10 tenths is the same, has the same value as 1. So I'm going to regroup those together. Now I look and I see that I have left here just 3 tenths, right? And then this is kind of where I put the little 1 up there for my regrouping. And now I count up my ones. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. And then the final piece of this is to just make sure that we put in our decimal so that we can see that it's 5 ones and 3 tenths and not 53 ones. Let's take a look at just a couple more. We're going to draw pictures for all of these just so that we kind of like have a better feel with them. They're also pretty quick, right? So I'm going to start with 1 and 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths, right? Or 700, sorry. And then I have 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths. Gonna, again, just like with all of our other addition, we're gonna start in the hundredths place. And I see here that on the top number, I have 5 hundredths, and then down here on the bottom number, I also have 5 hundredths. And so I'm gonna regroup these together to be another tenth. I'm gonna cross those out so I don't get confused. I have 2 hundredths left, so I'm gonna have a 2 in the hundredths place. Now I'm gonna move on to my tenths. Well, down here on the bottom, I have 5, 6, 7, 8, and number 9. So I'm going to grab 1 from up top. I'm going to cross those off so that I can regroup into the ones place. I have 2 tenths left. I'm going to put in my decimal so I know that it's 2 tenths and 2 hundredths. And then I'm going to look here and I see that I have 3 in the ones place. And so the answer to 1 and 37 hundredths plus 1 and 85 hundredths is 3 and 22 hundredths. I'm going to look at a couple of examples, or just one example here to see if what Robin did makes sense. So it says Robin used quick pictures to model 1 and 85 hundredths plus 2 and 73 hundredths. And this is the work that she ended up with. So let's see what she did. So we have 1 right here, right? And then if we look at this, like there would be our 8 tenths, and then over here we would say that, well, these 5 are the 5 hundredths, right? So that looks pretty good. Now up here we have 2, and we still have another 7 tenths right there, and then we have our 3 hundredths right there. So it looks like the picture she drew matches the math. So let's see if we can figure out where she may have gone wrong, because her answer is 3 and 158 thousandths. Now, one thing that I notice right off the bat is that both of my two add-ins, right, whether it be 1 and 85 hundredths or 2 and 73 hundredths, that neither one of them have a digit in the thousandths place. Yet for some reason, Robin's answer has an 8 in the thousandths place. So I think what Robin did is that she looked at, I'm going to change this pen so it's a little bit smaller, right? She looked at these 8 hundredths right here, and she thought that they were in the thousandths place. And I think the reason why she did that is, again, right, is because when she put together her tenths, right, if we counted up all of these tenths, this is 5, 5, and 5, right, because 8 plus 7 is 15. is that she did not regroup those, right? So what really Robin needed to do is she needed to take these 10 and regroup that into another 1. That way, we would know that we have 8 in the hundredths place, right? We used those to make that 1 up there, so we have 5 tenths left, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the ones place. So I think that that's what Robin did. She forgot to regroup her tenths, and so she put down that she had 15 tenths, which is not correct. She may have also, to get to this mistake, she probably started by adding her ones first, right? Because if we take a look at this, we have 1, 2, 3 ones. Well, if we say we have 3 ones, then we put our decimal, and then we count up all of our tenths here, and we say, oh, well, we have 15 tenths, and then that would mean that we have 8 thousandths right over here, right? But this doesn't work, right? This is part of the reason why it's so important that when we add, we always start with our smallest place first. That way, if we need to do some regrouping, it's pretty simple to do that regrouping, right? So this answer is definitely incorrect. Instead, we want to start by saying, well, we have 8 hundredths. We're going to put together these 10 tenths to make our 1. That leaves me with 5 tenths here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 in the ones place, right? So always start with your smallest place when you're adding. Doesn't matter if it's whole numbers or decimals, we're always going to start there in the small place. All right, try lesson 3.5, and as always, let me know if you have any questions.